What if I told you that improving by just 1% a day, something so small you wouldn't even notice it, would make you 37 times better in a single year? That sounds impossible. But it's not motivation. It's not a metaphor. It's compound math. It's the core idea behind a book that sold over 25 million copies, sat on the New York Times bestseller list for more than 5 years, and quietly changed how millions of people think about success. The book is Atomic Habits by James Clear, and the reason it resonates isn't because it tells you to hustle harder or dream bigger. It's because it reveals a flaw in how most of us have been taught to change and replaces it with a system that actually works. Today we're breaking down 6 powerful lessons from that book, the ones that don't just help you build better habits, but rewire how you think about progress itself. And stick around, because by the end, we'll reveal the one shift that James Clear says matters more than any single habit you'll ever build. Let's get into it. Lesson 1. The 1% rule. Why small beats big. Here's the math most people never see. If you get 1% better each day for an entire year, you don't end up 1% better. You end up 37 times better. But if you get 1% worse each day, just a tiny slip, barely noticeable, you decline almost to 0. Same time, same math, wildly different outcomes. As James Clear puts it, habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. That's why most people fail, not because they lack effort, but because they expect effort to pay off immediately. They go to the gym for 2 weeks and nothing changes. They start saving money and the account barely moves. They try to read every night and they're still on chapter 3. So they quit. Clear calls this the plateau of latent potential. Think of it like heating an ice cube from 25 degrees to 31. Nothing visible happens. But at 32, everything changes. Your work wasn't wasted at 29 degrees. It was being stored, like the stonecutter who hammers 100 times with no crack. Then at blow 101, it splits. Not from that final strike, but everything before it. Science confirms it. A 2024 systematic review from the University of South Australia found that habit formation takes roughly 59 to 66 days on average, not the 21 days most people believe. So if you gave up after 3 weeks thinking the habit wasn't working, it was probably just getting started. The results aren't missing, they're loading. But here's where most people make their biggest mistake. They try to fix the problem by setting bigger, bolder goals. And that's exactly backwards. Lesson 2. Forget goals. Build systems. Every Olympic athlete wants the gold medal. Every entrepreneur wants to build something massive. Every person trying to get in shape wants to look and feel their best. So if winners and losers share the same goals, how can the goal be the thing that makes the difference? It can't. James Clear argues that goals are not the problem. Obsessing over them is. Because goals only tell you what you want. Systems tell you how to get there. You do not rise to the level of your goals, Clear writes. You fall to the level of your systems. So what's wrong with goals? More than you think. Goals carry hidden costs. They restrict happiness to a future moment. I'll feel good when I hit this number. They create an all or nothing trap. And worst of all, they're temporary. You clean the room, but without a system, it's messy again in a week. As Clear puts it, the purpose of setting goals is to win the game. The purpose of building systems is to continue playing the game. That shift, from chasing a finish line to refining a process, is what separates people who change once from people who change permanently. And if you think systems sound boring compared to big, ambitious goals, wait until you see what happens when you combine this with the next lesson, because this is where Atomic Habits goes from a good book to a life-changing one. Lesson 3. Change your identity, not your outcomes. Most people try to change from the outside in. I want to lose weight, so I'll go on a diet, and then I'll be a healthy person. The result comes first. The identity comes last. James Clear says flip it. Start with who you want to become. I'm a healthy person, and healthy people move their bodies and eat real food. The actions follow naturally. The results take care of themselves. Clear describes 3 layers of change. On the surface, there are outcomes, what you get. Beneath that, processes, what you do. And at the core, identity, what you believe. Most people only ever work on the first 2 layers, but identity is where lasting change actually lives. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. You don't need a landslide. You don't need to be perfect. You just need a majority. Each small choice, showing up to the gym, putting the phone down, choosing water over soda, casts a vote, and over time, those votes build a completely new self-image. That's why someone trying to quit smoking gets a completely different result when they shift from I'm trying to quit to I'm not a smoker. Same behavior on the surface, completely different engine underneath. The goal is not to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. The goal is not to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. When the identity shifts, the habits follow, because you're no longer forcing yourself to act against who you are. You're acting in alignment with who you've decided to be. So now you understand the math, the system, and the identity shift. But none of that matters if you can't actually make the habit stick day after day. If this kind of clarity is what you've been looking for, hit like and subscribe. It helps this reach more people who need it. Now let's move on to Clear's 4-part framework that's so simple, it almost feels like cheating. Lesson 4. The 4 laws of building good habits. Every habit you've ever formed, good or bad, follows the same loop. Cue, craving, response, reward. Your brain detects a signal, generates a desire, you act and you get a payoff. Repeat that enough times and it becomes automatic. James Clear turns this loop into 4 laws for building habits that last. The first law is make it obvious. Design your environment so the cue is impossible to miss. Want to take your vitamins? Put them next to your coffee maker. Want to read more? Leave the book on your pillow. The best cue is one you don't have to think about. Clear also recommends habit stacking, anchoring a new habit to an existing one. After I pour my coffee, I meditate for 2 minutes. The existing routine becomes the trigger. The second law is make it attractive. Link the habit to something you already enjoy. Clear calls this temptation bundling. You only listen to your favourite podcast while exercising. The craving pulls you toward the behaviour instead of away from it. Those first 2 laws get you started. These next 2 keep you going. The third law is make it easy. Reduce friction between you and the habit. Lay out your gym clothes the night before. Prep your meals on Sunday. Clear recommends the 2-minute rule. Scale any habit down to something that takes less than 2 minutes to start. Read before bed becomes open the book. Once you begin, momentum carries you forward. The 4th law is make it satisfying. Attach an immediate reward to the behaviour. Use a habit tracker. Mark a calendar. Give yourself a small win after each session. The brain repeats what feels good, so make good habits feel good right away. These 4 laws aren't about grinding through willpower. They're about designing a world where the right behaviour becomes the easy behaviour. Picture someone who wants to start running. They set their shoes by the bed. Obvious. They pair it with a playlist they love. Attractive. They commit to just 2 minutes out the door. Easy. They mark each run on a calendar. Satisfying. 4 small shifts. No willpower speech required. But what about the habits already working against you? The scrolling, the overspending, the late nights, the junk food. Because the same framework that builds good habits can also dismantle the bad ones. You just flip it. Lesson 5. How to break bad habits. The 4 laws in reverse. To break a bad habit, invert every law. Make it invisible. If you scroll your phone every night in bed, charge it in another room. If you snack mindlessly in front of the TV, clear the counter completely. Remove the cue and the loop never starts. Make it unattractive. Rewrite the story you tell yourself about the habit. Clear uses smoking as the example. Instead of I'm giving up cigarettes, reframe it as I'm freeing myself from them. That single shift turns sacrifice into liberation and changes the craving at its root. Make it difficult. Add friction. Delete the app. Freeze the credit card. Put real distance between you and the behaviour. Bad habits thrive on convenience. Take the convenience away, and the habit weakens. Make it unsatisfying. Create immediate accountability. Tell a friend your commitment. Sign a habit contract. Use a tracker where breaking the chain feels like a visible loss. When the cost of a bad habit becomes instant instead of distant, the brain recalculates fast. Notice what's missing from all of this. Willpower. You're not fighting the habit, you're removing its infrastructure. The cue is gone, the story has changed, the friction is real, and the old habit has nothing left to hold on to. Lesson 6. The real reason this works. Time is the multiplier. Here's the shift James Clear says matters more than any single habit you'll ever build. Learn to think in years, not days. Time magnifies the margin between success and failure, Clear writes. It will multiply whatever you feed it. Good habits make time your ally. Bad habits make time your enemy. Compounding doesn't reward intensity, it rewards consistency. The people who build extraordinary lives aren't the ones who had the best single week. They're the ones who showed up on the most weeks. That's the real reason small beats big. Not because small is easier, but because small is sustainable. and sustainable is the only thing that compounds. Imagine looking back a year from now, not at one heroic moment, but at hundreds of quiet ones. The pages read, the workouts logged, the dollars saved. None of them felt like much at the time, but together, they built someone new. All big things come from small beginnings, as Clear puts it. The seed of every habit is a single tiny decision, but as that decision is repeated, a habit sprouts and grows stronger. You are already compounding right now. Every day, every choice, every micro decision is casting a vote. The only question worth asking is, in which direction? Let's bring it all together. Atomic Habits isn't about grinding harder or dreaming bigger. It's about understanding that the person you become is built 1% at a time, through systems, not ambitions, through identity, not outcomes, through environment design, not willpower, and through time, patient, consistent, unglamorous time, the only force that turns tiny into unstoppable. So the question isn't whether you can change. The question is, what's your 1% today? If you want to start tonight, try Clear's Habit Scorecard. List every daily habit and mark each as positive or negative. Awareness is the first step.